Cole Dawson pulled a frozen corpse from the snow and discovered she was still breathing. The woman wore a wedding dress stiff with ice. No tracks behind her, no wagon, no horse, just a bride, someone wanted dead. He carried her home to his motherless children, laid her by the fire, and made a choice that would cost him everything. He would not let her die. But the man who owned her contract was already riding north with the law in his pocket and a promise to bury them all. If you stay to find out how this impossible love survives, subscribe now and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. Let's begin. The blizzard swallowed Montana whole. Cole Dawson rode blind through a wall of white 3 miles from home, cursing himself for staying in town too long. The mayor stumbled beneath him, spooked by something he couldn't see. Wind screamed. Snow came sideways, like God's fury made visible. "Easy, girl." Cole's voice disappeared into the storm. "Just get us home." The horse balked, refused to move forward. Cole dismounted, boots sinking deep. He pushed ahead on foot, one hand shielding his face, the other reaching into the white void. His glove hit something solid. He dropped to his knees and dug. Fabric. Lace. Frozen stiff as canvas. Wedding dress. Cole's heart kicked against his ribs. He dug faster, snow burning his hands. White fabric gave way to skin. Marble white. Blue lips. A woman's face, eyes closed. Snow crusted in her eyelashes. Dead. Had to be dead. Cole pressed 2 fingers to her throat. Waited. Nothing. Then, a pulse. Thread thin. Barely there. Jesus Christ! He lifted her. Dead weight. Ice crackled off the dress. No tracks leading to her. No wagon. No horse. No sense to any of it. Someone left her here to die. Cole draped her across the saddle and climbed up behind her. Held her with one arm. The mayor knew the way home now smelled the barn the safety. They rode hard. Cabin lights appeared through the white curtain. Cole kicked the door open. "Get blankets," he barked. "Hot water now." Tommy, 10 years old, froze at the table. His book fell from his hands. Lillian, 7, jumped up from the hearth. "Papa, move." They moved. Cole laid the woman by the fire. The dress cracked as he positioned her. He stripped it off, clinical necessary hands shaking from cold and something else. Her skin felt like touching death itself. Tommy brought wool blankets. Lillian ran for the kettle. Cole wrapped her tight, rubbed her arms, her hands, checked her pulse again. Still there. Stronger, maybe. Or he was imagining it. "Papa." Lillian's voice was small. "Is she an angel?" "Angels don't freeze, sweetheart." Cole pulled the blankets tighter. "She's just lost." "Who is she?" Tommy stepped closer. Protective instinct already forming. "Don't know." "Why was she—" "I don't know, son." The woman moaned. Her eyelids fluttered. Not dead. Not yet. Cole had pulled plenty of things from Montana winters. Calves born too early. Colts caught in snowdrifts. A trapper once half frozen. He'd lost more than he'd saved. But this woman. She was still fighting. "Tommy, stoke the fire. Lillian, get more blankets from your room." They obeyed without question. Good kids. Sarah had raised them right before Cole stopped that thought. Shoved it down where he kept all the others. The woman's eyes opened. Brown. Dark as creek stones. Confused. Terrified. She tried to sit up. Her body wouldn't cooperate. "Easy." Cole raised his hands, palms out. "You're safe." "Safe." Her voice cracked. Raw. "Where?" "My cabin. Found you in a snowdrift about 3 miles out. You were dying." Her breathing came shallow, fast, panic rising. "My dress." "Frozen. Had to get it off you. You're wearing my shirt now. Decent." She looked down, seemed to register the flannel, the wool blankets. Her hands trembled as she pulled the fabric tighter around herself. "I need to leave." Storm's still raging. You'd die in 10 minutes. I don't care? Well, I do. Cole's voice came harder than he meant. He softened it. Name's Cole Dawson. That's my son Tommy. Daughter Lily Ann. You're stuck here till the blizzard passes. That's just how it is. The woman stared at him, calculating, measuring whether he was a threat. Cole understood that look. He'd seen it in wounded animals, in people who'd learned trust was dangerous. What's your name, Miss? Lily Ann asked softly from behind Cole. The woman's throat worked. Grace. Grace Porter. That's pretty. Lily Ann smiled. Like a prayer. Grace's eyes filled. She blinked hard. How'd you end up out there? Cole asked. I ran. From what? Grace's jaw set. From a man who thought he owned me. The words hung in the air like smoke. Tommy frowned. Nobody can own people. That's illegal. Tell him that. Grace's voice turned bitter. Cole wanted to press, needed to know what he'd brought into his home. But the woman looked ready to bolt or break. He could wait. Get some rest, he said. We'll talk when you're stronger. I can't stay. You can't leave, not tonight. Maybe not tomorrow either, depending on the storm. Cole stood. I'll sleep out here by the fire. You take my bed. No, I won't. You will. Kids say goodnight to Miss Grace. Tommy nodded, uncertain, watching Grace like she might vanish, or like she might hurt his father. Cole recognized that protectiveness. The boy had worn it since Sarah died. Lily Ann moved closer, touched Grace's hand. I'm glad you're not dead, she said simply. Grace's face crumpled. She covered it with her hands. Lily Ann looked at Cole confused. It's okay. Cole put his hand on his daughter's shoulder. Sometimes people cry when they're relieved. Come on. Bed. He shepherded the children up the ladder to the loft, got them settled. Lily Ann kept looking down at Grace through the slats. Is she staying, Papa? For now. What if the bad man comes looking? Then he'll deal with me. Tommy's voice came quiet from his bunk. Mama wouldn't want us to turn her away. Cole's throat tightened. No, she wouldn't. He climbed back down. Grace hadn't moved, still sat wrapped in blankets, staring into the fire. You should sleep, Cole said. I can't. Try anyway. He'll come looking. Let him. Grace turned to face him. You don't understand what you're risking. Maybe not. But I understand this. I don't leave people to die. And I don't hand them over to men who tried to kill them. You don't know that. A woman doesn't end up in a blizzard in a wedding dress by accident. Cole's voice went flat. Someone left you there. Or you ran from someone bad enough that freezing to death looked better. Grace said nothing. Get some sleep, Miss Porter. Morning's soon enough for the rest. He turned away, started banking the fire for the night. Thank you. Her voice barely reached him. Cole nodded. Didn't trust himself to speak. He'd made a choice tonight. Pulled her from the snow. Brought her home. Given his word she was safe here. Out in Montana territory, a man's word was iron. Cole settled into the chair by the fire. Watched Grace finally close her eyes. Watched her breathing even out. The storm howled outside. Somewhere someone was looking for her. Let them come. Morning arrived gray and bitter. The storm had gentled to steady snow, but drifts piled against the cabin walls spoke of a night that had tried to kill anything left outside. Cole woke with his neck cramped from the chair. Grace was already awake, standing at the window in his shirt and a borrowed pair of Tommy's old trousers. Too big, rolled at the ankles. How long have you been up? Cole asked. She didn't turn. Hour, maybe more. Storm's easing. I know. Cole stood, stretched, started the morning fire properly, put coffee on, The familiar motions steadied him. You hungry? I should go. You should eat. I've imposed enough. Miss Porter. Cole faced her. You can't walk 3 miles in this snow. You've got no coat, no boots, and whatever you're running from, it's still out there. He poured coffee, held out a cup. So, you'll eat, you'll rest, and when you're strong enough and the roads are clear enough, we'll figure out what comes next. Grace took the coffee, hands wrapped around the tin cup like it was life itself. I'm not a charity case. Didn't say you were. I'll work, earn my keep. You nearly died last night. You can rest one day. I don't take handouts. Cole almost smiled. Good. Neither do I. But sometimes we take mercy. There's a difference. Grace studied him over the rim of her cup. Why are you helping me? Because I found you dying and I'm not an asshole. A sound escaped her, almost a laugh, rusty, like she'd forgotten how. Footsteps creaked overhead, the children waking. They're going to ask questions, Grace said quietly. Kids do that. What will you tell them? The truth. You needed help. We're giving it. Lillian's face appeared at the edge of the loft upside down. Is Grace still here? I'm still here. Grace's voice was gentler for the child. Lillian scrambled down the ladder. Tommy followed slower, watchful. I dreamed you were an ice princess, Lillian announced. I'm not a princess, just a person. Papa makes good pancakes. Are you hungry? Grace looked at Cole. Something passed between them. Not trust yet, but maybe the beginning of it. I could eat, Grace said. Cole cooked. The children set the table. Grace watched, taking mental notes on where things were kept, how the household ran. Already figuring out how to make herself useful. They ate together. Quiet meal. Tommy kept shooting glances at Grace, measuring her, deciding if she was a threat. Smart boy. Papa. Tommy set down his fork. When will the roads be clear? Few days maybe. Depends on the snow. And then Miss Grace leaves. Grace opened her mouth. Cole beat her to it. That's up to Miss Grace. 4 pairs of eyes turned to her. Grace set down her own fork, took a breath. I'm in trouble, she said simply. The kind that follows you. If I stay, I bring that trouble here. To you. To your children. What kind of trouble? Tommy asked. Tommy. Cole's voice held a warning. It's okay. Grace met the boy's eyes. Fair question. There's a man who thinks I belong to him. I signed a contract I didn't understand. By the time I realized what it really meant, it was my wedding day. Her voice stayed level. Factual. So I ran. Stole his horse. Rode into the storm. I chose freezing over being owned. The cabin went silent. Lillian's eyes were huge. That's so brave. Tommy frowned. What kind of man? The kind with money and lawyers, Grace said. The kind who does what he wants and calls it legal. Cole's hands tightened around his cup. Rage, cold and controlled, settled in his chest. What's his name? Warren Kent. The cup shattered in Cole's grip. Tommy jumped. Lillian gasped. Papa! She grabbed a cloth, started dabbing at the spilled coffee. Cole barely noticed. His mind was racing. Everyone in 3 counties knew Warren Kent. Land baron, railroad man. Owned half the territory and wanted the other half. Ruthless as winter, rich enough to make laws bend. You ran from Warren Kent. Cole's voice came out flat. Yes. And you think he'll just let you go? No. Grace's eyes met his. I know he won't. That's why I need to leave before he brings his trouble to your door. Cole stood, walked to the window, stared out at the white landscape. His land, his home, his children, everything he had left after Sarah died. Kent could take it all. Had the money, had the lawyers, had the territory's most powerful men in his pocket. But Cole had seen Grace's face last night. The blue lips, the frozen skin. Someone had tried to kill her, and she'd chosen death over belonging to Kent. That told him everything he needed to know. He turned back. "You're not leaving." Grace stood. "You don't understand." "I understand fine. Warren Kent thinks he owns you. Contract or not. Legal or not. That's slavery with fancy paperwork. He has the law. I don't care." Cole's voice cut through the room. "You're not going back to him. You're staying here, long as you want. He'll destroy you. Let him try. Your children. My children are learning what it means to stand up for what's right, even when it costs something." Tommy straightened in his chair. Proud. Scared. But proud. Lillian looked between her father and Grace. "Does this mean Grace is staying?" Cole kept his eyes on Grace. "If she wants." Grace's hands trembled. "Why? You don't even know me." "I know you chose dying free over living as property. I know you're scared but not beaten. That's enough. You'll lose everything. I've already lost everything that mattered. Sarah, 4 years of just existing instead of living." His voice roughened. "But my kids, they're alive again since you got here. Really alive, not just going through motions." "We like you," Lillian said softly. Tommy nodded, reluctant, but honest. "You're okay." Grace's eyes filled. She blinked hard, swallowed. "I don't know how to repay." "Don't need repayment. Just stay. Help with the kids, the house, whatever you can do. We'll call it even." Grace looked at the three of them, this makeshift family that had pulled her from death and offered her life. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, I'll stay." Lillian cheered, ran to hug Grace's waist. Tommy smiled, small, but real. Cole nodded once. Decision made. Consequences be damned. Outside the storm was breaking. Blue sky showed through the clouds. And somewhere south, Warren Kent was probably already searching. But Cole Dawson had given his word. And in Montana territory, a man's word was iron. The next days fell into rhythm. Grace couldn't sit still. Insisted on earning her keep despite her lingering weakness. She mended clothes worn thin by hard use and harder winters. Her stitches were small, precise, professional. "You're a seamstress," Cole observed watching her work. "Was. Before." She stopped. Changed direction. "I worked in a dress shop. Until the debt." "What debt?" Grace's needle paused. Started again. "My friend got sick. Fever. I spent everything trying to save her. Doctors, medicine. None of it worked. She died anyway. But the debt didn't. That's how Kent found you. He finds all of us that way. Women with nowhere else to turn. Makes offers that sound like rescue." Her voice went bitter. "Marriage. Security. All your debts cleared. Just sign here. And the fine print? Says your property. Says he controls everything. Your money. Your movement. Your body." Grace set down her sewing. Met Cole's eyes. "I didn't see it until the wedding day. The way he looked at me, like I was a horse he'd just purchased. The way his ranch hands whispered, 'Another one. Wonder how long this one lasts.'" Cole's jaw worked. "Others before you." "3 that I know of. 1 ran. They found her in the river. Ruled it suicide." Grace's hands twisted in the fabric. "1 got sick and died. 1 just disappeared. Nobody asked questions. Warren Kent owns the sheriff. Owns the judge. Who's going to challenge him?" "I am." Grace smiled. Sad. "You're 1 rancher. He's an empire. We'll see." That night, Grace helped Lillian with her letters. The girl's face lit up when she got a word right. Cole watched from across the room pretending to sharpen tools. "You're good with her," he said after Lillian went to bed. "She's easy to love." So was her mother. Grace went still. Cole set down the whetstone. "Sarah, my wife. She died bringing Lillian into the world. Doctor said sometimes it just happens. Nothing anyone could do." He stared at his hands. "I blamed God, stopped praying, just existed after that, making sure the kids ate, keeping them warm, but not really living." "I understand that." Grace's voice was soft. "After my friend died, I did the same thing. Just motions. Just survival." "What was her name?" "Catherine. Everyone called her Kitty." Grace's smile was distant. "She was the only family I had. Orphanage didn't count. That was just walls and rules and cold." "You have family now." Grace looked up. Cole was watching her. "If you want it," he added. Before she could respond, Tommy called down from the loft. "Papa, is Miss Grace going to teach me reading too?" "If she wants." "I want." Grace's voice carried up. "Tomorrow, after breakfast." "Okay." Satisfied, Tommy settled. Cole and Grace sat in comfortable silence. Fire crackling, wind outside gentle now. "Thank you," Grace said finally. "For what?" "For seeing me. Not just my trouble. Not just what I'm running from, but me." Cole nodded. Didn't trust himself with more words. He'd been frozen solid for 4 years. Heart locked away with Sarah. But something was thawing, and it terrified him. 1 week passed, then another. February thaw came early. Snow turned to mud. Trails became passable, which meant Kent could travel. Cole knew it was coming, prepared for it, checked his rifle, made sure ammunition was dry, told Tommy where the extra supplies were hidden. "If men come and I'm not here, you take your sister and Grace to the Doyle place. Understand?" Tommy's face went pale. "Papa?" "Understand." "Yes, sir." Grace caught the conversation. Waited until Tommy was outside before confronting Cole. "You're expecting him." "Roads are clearing." "I should go. Before—" "No." Cole's voice was iron. "We've been through this. You don't know what he's capable of." "Then I'll find out." "Cole." Grace grabbed his arm. First time she'd touched him voluntarily. "Please. I can't watch him destroy you." Cole covered her hand with his. "He won't." "You can't promise that." "I can promise I'll fight. That's all any of us can do." Grace's eyes searched his face. Why risk everything for me?" Cole opened his mouth, closed it. Too much to say. Too soon to say it. "Because it's right," he said finally. Not the whole truth, but truth enough. Grace pulled her hand back, nodded, but her face said she didn't believe him. That afternoon, Henry Doyle rode up. Old rancher, honest man, neighbor for 15 years. His wife Martha had been Sarah's closest friend. Henry dismounted, studied Grace through the window. "Didn't know you had company, Cole." "She's helping with the kids." Henry's eyes were knowing. "Town's talking." "Let them talk." "It ain't the talking that worries me." Henry's voice dropped. "Warren Kent was in Redemption Flats yesterday, asking questions, showing that picture. Says his bride ran off with his best horse." Cole's blood went cold. "What did people tell him?" "Most folks don't know nothing. But—" Henry hesitated. "Mrs. Talbot at the general store mentioned seeing you ride in that day. With a woman." "Jesus." "Yeah." Henry glanced at the cabin again. "Cole, I know you. You found someone in trouble and you helped. That's who you are. But Warren Kent, I know who he is. Do you? Because he don't just have money. He's got the territorial governor in his pocket. He's got judges, sheriffs. He can call your homestead claim invalid. He can say you stole his horse, which technically you did if she rode it here." She was dying. "I know that, you know that. but the law won't care. Henry put his hand on Cole's shoulder. I'm saying be careful. Martha and I were here if you need anything. But Cole, this might be a fight you can't win. Thanks for the warning. Henry tipped his hat, started to mount, paused. For what it's worth, she looks happy here. First time I've seen your kids really smile since Sarah died. He swung into the saddle. Just be smart about this. After Henry left, Cole walked back inside. Grace stood frozen at the window. She'd heard everything. I'm leaving tonight, she said. No. He knows I'm here. He suspects, doesn't know for sure. It's only a matter of time. Then we'll use that time to figure something out. There's nothing to figure out. Grace's voice rose. He has the law. He has money. He has... And I have the truth. Cole closed the distance between them. You signed under duress. The contract's not valid. He has witnesses. False ones. We'll prove it. How who'll believe me over him? I will. Tommy's voice came from the doorway. He stood there, jaw set. I'll testify. Tell them what you told us. Tommy, no. Grace started. I'm not a little kid. I know right from wrong. And what he did to you was wrong. Lillian appeared behind her brother. Me too. I'll tell them. Grace's face crumpled. You can't. He'll destroy your family. You are our family now, Lillian said simply. The words hung in the air. Grace looked at Cole, at his children, at this impossible situation she'd brought to their door. And she realized something. She didn't want to run anymore. She wanted to fight. Okay, she whispered. Okay, what do we do? Cole smiled, grim, determined. We get ready, and when Warren Kent comes knocking, we show him he picked the wrong woman to cage. Outside, the sun broke through clouds for the first time in weeks. Spring was coming, and with it, war. 3 days of preparation felt like 3 minutes. Cole rode to the Doyle ranch at dawn. Martha met him at the door, already dressed, already knowing why he'd come. How much time do we have? She asked. Not enough. Henry said Kent was in town 2 days ago. Could be here by tomorrow. Martha called for Henry. The three of them sat at the kitchen table while Martha took notes in her careful script. We need witnesses, she said. People who'll speak against Kent's character. Nobody will. Cole's voice was flat. He owns too much, employs too many. Anyone who speaks up loses their livelihood. Not everyone. Martha's pen kept moving. There's Pastor Williams. He's beholden to no man but God. And old Doc Morrison, he's got no family, no debts. Nothing Kent can take from him. They'd need proof, Henry said. We'll find it. Martha looked up. Kent's done this before. You said Grace mentioned other women. 3. 1 died in the river. 1 got sick. 1 disappeared. Then there are records, death certificates, missing person reports, property transfers. Martha's eyes gleamed with something fierce. Men like Kent leave trails. They think they're untouchable, so they get sloppy. Cole felt something like hope stir in his chest. What do you need from me? Time. Keep Grace safe while I dig. And Cole. Martha's hand covered his. Be ready for this to get ugly. Kent won't go down quiet. Cole rode home with Martha's words echoing in his head. Grace was teaching Tommy his letters when he walked in. She looked up, question in her eyes. Martha's helping, he said. Grace's shoulders dropped an inch. Not relaxation, just slightly less tension. What kind of help? The kind that finds truth in courthouse records. Kent owns the courthouse. He doesn't own Martha Doyle. That evening, Grace made stew while Cole repaired harness leather. Domestic scene. Peaceful, except for the rifle propped by the door and Tommy checking the windows every 10 minutes. You should eat, Grace said, setting a bowl in front of Cole. He hadn't realized she'd finished cooking. Thanks. They ate in silence. Lillian chattered about a bird she'd seen. Tommy pushed food around his plate. After the children went to bed, Cole found Grace standing at the window again. She did that now, watched the tree line like Kent might materialize from the shadows. "He's not coming tonight," Cole said. "You don't know that." "I know he'll make an entrance, middle of the day, wants witnesses, wants everyone to see him take back what's his." Cole's voice hardened on the last word. Grace turned. "I need to tell you everything. Before he gets here. Before you're in too deep." "I'm already in." "Not like this." Grace moved to the table, sat, folded her hands like she was about to testify. "The contract I signed, it wasn't just marriage. It gave him control of any property I inherited, any money I earned, my physical person." "That's slavery." "It's legal. I checked after. Territorial law allows debt contracts that supersede normal marriage rights if both parties consent." "You didn't consent. You didn't know." "I signed it. Witnesses saw me sign it. That's all that matters to the law." Grace's voice stayed level, factual, but her hands trembled. The witness was a pastor, Reverend Samuel Hutchins, well respected, been in the territory 20 years. So we discredit the witness. How he's a man of God. I'm a seamstress who ran out on her wedding. Cole leaned forward. "Martha will find something. She always does. And if she doesn't, then we fight anyway." Grace's laugh was bitter. "You can't fight the law with good intentions." "Watch me." They stared at each other across the table. Something crackled in the air between them. Not quite anger. Not quite anything Cole had words for. "Why?" Grace asked again. "Why does this matter so much to you?" Cole looked away, stared at his hands, scarred from years of ranch work. Same hands that had pulled Sarah from her childbed covered in blood already gone. "Because I couldn't save her," he said finally. "Sarah, I was right there, and I couldn't save her." His voice roughened. "And then for 4 years I didn't save anyone, not even myself. Just went through motions. Kept the kids fed and warm, but didn't fight for anything. Cole, I found you dying in the snow, and I could do something about it. I could pull you back, and now Kent wants to take that away, wants to prove that might makes right, and the law's just whatever rich men say it is." He met her eyes. "I can't let him win, not this time." Grace reached across the table, took his hand. "Okay," she whispered. "Then we fight." Her hand was small in his, calloused from needlework, strong despite everything. Cole turned his hand over, laced his fingers through hers. "Together," he said. The fire crackled. Outside, a coyote called to its pack. And somewhere in the dark, Warren Kent was riding north. Morning came too fast and too slow at once. Cole was checking the barn when he heard horses. 3 riders. Not Kent's party, too few, but not friendly either. Sheriff Perkins led them. Weak-chinned man who'd sold his spine years ago. Behind him, 2 deputies Cole didn't recognize. Grace appeared in the cabin doorway, saw the riders. Her face went white. "Stay inside," Cole called. "Kids, too." She disappeared back in. Perkins dismounted. Didn't meet Cole's eyes. "Cole Dawson." "You know who I am, Bill." "Got a complaint filed. Warren Kent says you're harboring stolen property. 1 horse and 1 woman who broke a legal contract. The woman's name is Grace Porter. She's not property. Law says different." Perkins finally looked at him, miserable, cornered. "I got papers here. Court order. Says she has to return with me to Redemption Flats. Face charges." "What charges?" "Theft, breach of contract, fraud." "Fraud?" Cole's voice rose. "She signed under duress." "Don't matter, she signed." Perkins gestured to the cabin. "Bring her out. We'll do this peaceful." "No." The deputies' hands moved to their guns. "Cole!" Perkins' voice held warning. "Don't make this harder." She's not going back to him. She don't got a choice. Everyone has a choice. The cabin door opened. Grace stepped out. No. Cole moved to block her. Get back inside. It's okay. Her voice was steady. Too steady. The kind of steady that came before breaking. I'll go. Grace? I won't let him hurt your children. She looked past Cole to the sheriff. I'll come, but I want your word no one here gets charged as accomplice. Perkins nodded, relieved. You got it. No. Cole grabbed Grace's arm. You can't. I have to. Grace's eyes met his. Brown, deep, resigned. This was always going to end this way. Then I'm coming with you. Cole, the kids! Henry! Cole shouted. Within 5 minutes, Henry appeared through the trees. Must have been watching. Waiting. Take Tommy and Lillian to Martha. Keep them there till I get back. Henry nodded, moved to the cabin, came out with both children. Tommy struggling, Lillian crying. Papa, no. Lillian reached for him. It's okay, sweetheart. I'll be back soon. Don't let them take her. Tommy's voice cracked. Papa, please. I'm going with her. I won't let anything happen. Henry had to physically carry Tommy to his horse. The boy's face was fury and fear, and something close to betrayal. Grace watched them go, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Saddle up, Perkins said. Both of you. We ride now. The trip to Redemption Flats took 4 hours. Grace rode with her wrists bound. Cole beside her. Unbound, but might as well have been chained. They didn't speak. What was there to say? But once Grace's horse stumbled, Cole reached out, steadied her, their eyes met. I won't let him take you, Cole said. Grace didn't answer. Redemption Flats came into view at noon. Main Street lined with false front buildings, church steeple pointing at God like an accusation, and in front of the hotel, Warren Kent waited. Tall, handsome, expensive suit. Smiled like he'd already won. Miss Porter. His voice was silk over steel. Welcome home. This isn't my home. Grace's voice didn't shake. The law disagrees. Kent produced papers, showed them to Perkins. Everything in order, Sheriff. Yes, sir. Excellent. I'll take custody now. Like hell. Cole moved between them. Kent's smile never wavered. And you are? The man who found her dying in the snow, left there by someone. Wonder who that was. Careful friend. Kent's eyes went cold. Slander's a crime. So's attempted murder. I attempted nothing. Miss Porter made poor choices, stole my horse, rode into a blizzard, natural consequences. You left her to die. I reported her missing, filed proper paperwork. How she ended up frozen in a snowbank is her own doing. The crowd had gathered now. Saturday meant market day. Everyone in town hearing this. Cole saw Mrs. Talbot from the general store. Reverend Miller. Doc Morrison. Faces he knew. Some sympathetic. Most just hungry for scandal. This woman signed a legal contract, Kent announced to the crowd. Binding before God and man. She broke that contract. Stole my property. The law will decide her punishment. She's not property, Cole's voice carried across the square. The contract says otherwise. Martha Doyle pushed through the crowd, Henry beside her. That contract's a fraud, Martha called. The witness signatures forged. Kent barely glanced at her. Strong accusation from someone with no legal standing. I have evidence. Martha held up papers. Reverend Samuel Hutchins died 3 months before that contract was signed. His signature is fake. A murmur ran through the crowd. Kent's smile tightened, just slightly. Then someone made an administrative error, easily corrected. The intent of the contract remains valid. And the death certificate, Martha pressed. For Rebecca Winters, your second wife lists cause of death as drowning, but Doc Morrison's records show bruises consistent with strangulation. Doc Morrison stepped forward, old, shaking, but determined. I documented them injuries, he said. Sheriff ruled it suicide anyhow, but I kept my notes. Still got 'em. The crowd's murmur grew louder. Kent's mask slipped. Anger flashed across his face. This is absurd. A coordinated attack on my character. What about Emma Shaw? Martha's voice cut through. Your first wife disappeared in '76. Property transferred to you immediately after. Nobody ever found. She left me. Ran off with who you never filed a missing person report. Never searched for her. Just took her inheritance and moved on. The crowd was turning. Cole could feel it. The shift from curiosity to something harder. Kent felt it too. His hand moved to his coat. Cole tensed, but Kent just pulled out more papers. I have 6 witnesses who saw Miss Porter sign willingly. I have the territorial governor's seal on this contract, and I have the law on my side. He turned to Perkins. Sheriff, do your job. Perkins looked at the crowd, at Martha's evidence, at Grace's face. For a moment, Cole thought he might find his spine. Then Perkins nodded. Law's the law. Miss Porter, you're coming with me. No. Cole's hand went to his gun. 10 weapons cocked in response. Deputies, Kent's men. Even Perkins drew. Don't, Grace said. Quiet. Urgent. Cole, don't. I won't let him. You have children. They need you alive. Grace stepped forward, toward Perkins. I'll go. Grace? She turned, looked at him, and Cole saw what it cost her, saw the fear, the resignation, the awful certainty that she'd die in Kent's custody. Thank you, she said, for trying. Then Perkins had her arm, was leading her toward the jail. The crowd parted, silent now, ashamed maybe, or just relieved it wasn't them. Cole started forward. Henry grabbed his arm. You pull that gun, you die, Henry hissed. And she dies anyway. Think. Cole watched Grace disappear into the jailhouse, watched Kent follow, smiling. Something inside him broke, or maybe crystallized, hard and cold and absolutely clear. Martha, he said, how much evidence do you have? Enough to raise questions, not enough to convict. Then we get more. Cole, we've got maybe 2 days before Kent takes her to his ranch. Once she's there, I know. Cole looked at the jailhouse, at the church, at the good Christian people who'd watched injustice happen and done nothing. Then we have 2 days. That night, they gathered at the Doyle Ranch. Cole, Martha, Henry, Doc Morrison, Pastor Williams, who'd arrived after hearing about the confrontation. Kent's smart. Martha said papers spread across the table. He uses legitimate legal structures, makes everything look proper. But the witness signature's forged, Cole said. Proves fraud on that document. Doesn't invalidate the marriage contract itself, unless we can prove coercion. Grace signed under duress, debt she couldn't pay. Debt contracts are legal. She'd have to prove he manufactured the debt, or that he misrepresented the contract terms. Cole slammed his fist on the table. There has to be something. There is. Pastor Williams spoke for the first time. Young man, earnest. The contract itself violates Christian marriage doctrine. It makes her property, not wife. I can testify to that. Will the judge care? Henry asked. Judge Hartley might. He's territorial appointee, not Kent's man. But he's also by the book. We'd need more than theological argument. Doc Morrison cleared his throat. I can testify about Rebecca Winters, but Kent'll say I'm senile, misremembered. My notes might not be enough. What about Emma Shaw? Cole asked Martha. No body, no proof of foul play, just suspicious circumstances. Cole stood, paced. So we have forged signatures, suspicious deaths, and theological arguments against a man who owns the sheriff and half the territory. Yes, Martha said simply. Then we go public. Force the judge to hear the case. Make it so big Kent can't bury it. How? Cole smiled. No warmth in it. Grace isn't the only one who can make a scene. The next morning, Cole rode into town alone, walked straight to the church. Pastor Williams was inside preparing for Sunday service. I need a favor, Cole said. Williams turned. Name it. I need you to marry me. The pastor blinked. To who? Grace Porter, today, in front of the whole town. She's in jail and legally bound to Kent. His contract's fraud, we'll prove it. But right now I need to show everyone that she chooses me. That this isn't about property or debt or legal manipulation. It's about two people choosing each other. Williams stared at him. Kent will go insane. Good. You could be arrested, both of you. Bigamy of her first marriage stands. So arrest me, make a scene, force Judge Hartley to hear the case. Cole leaned forward. Or we can let Kent take her tonight and she disappears like the others. Williams was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Noon, Town Square. I'll make sure everyone's there. Cole's next stop was the jail. Perkins stood when he entered. You can't. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. Kent said no visitors. Kent doesn't get to decide that. She hasn't been convicted of anything. She gets visitors. Cole pulled out $5, set it on the desk. 5 minutes. Perkins looked at the money, at Cole's face, took the money. 5 minutes. Grace sat on the cot in the cell, looked up when Cole entered, eyes red but dry now. You shouldn't be here, she said. Yeah, I should. Cole gripped the bars. Marry me. Grace stood. What? Marry me. Today, noon, in front of everyone. Cole? I'm already married. No, you're not. That contract's fraud. William says the marriage isn't valid under church law. We marry now, show everyone you choose me. Force the judge to decide which marriage stands. That's insane. Probably. You'll be arrested. Don't care. Your children. We'll see their father fight for what's right. Cole's voice dropped. Urgent. Grace, I'm asking you to trust me. One more time. Marry me. Grace moved closer, right up to the bars, close enough to touch. Why? She whispered. Why are you doing this? Cole looked at her. Really looked. Saw the woman who'd chosen freezing to death over slavery. Saw the woman who'd taught his daughter to read and made his son smile. Saw the woman who'd brought his dead heart back to life. Because I love you, he said. Simple. True. I love you, and I won't let him take you. Grace's breath caught. Say yes, Cole said. Please. Her hand reached through the bars, found his. Yes, she whispered. Yes. Noon arrived with the whole town gathered. Someone had run to Kent's hotel. He stood on the steps, face purple with rage, 6 men around him. Pastor Williams stood in the center of the square. Martha and Henry on one side, Doc Morrison on the other, and Perkins led Grace from the jail, still bound at the wrists. Remove those, Williams said. She's a prisoner. She's a woman about to be married. Remove them or I'll do it myself. Perkins looked to Kent. Kent's jaw worked, but too many people watching. He nodded. The ropes fell away. Grace rubbed her wrists, looked at Cole. He stepped forward, took her hands. This is illegal, Kent shouted. She's bound to me. Then let the judge decide, Williams called back. But right now, these two people stand before God, and I'm going to marry them. Perkins, arrest them. The sheriff didn't move, trapped between Kent's money and the town's eyes. Williams opened his Bible. Dearly beloved. Stop this. Kent pushed through the crowd. She's mine, I own her. You own nothing, Cole said, voice carrying. She's not property, she's a woman, and she chooses me. Kent's hand went to his gun. 10 men stepped forward. Henry, Doc Morrison, other ranchers Cole knew, neighbors, good men who'd stood silent until now. That'd be murder, Kent, Henry said. In front of witnesses, you willing to hang for her? Kent's hand froze. The moment stretched. Then Judge Hartley's voice cut through the tension. Enough. He pushed through the crowd, old, gray, stern. What the hell is going on here? Everyone started talking at once. Kent shouting about property rights. Martha presenting evidence. Grace silent, still holding Cole's hands. Hartley raised his hand. Silence fell. Sheriff, take both Miss Porter and Mr. Dawson into custody. Protective custody, he emphasized. Kent, you too. We're having a hearing. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. I'll decide which marriage, if any, is valid. This is outrageous, Kent started. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., or I rule for the defendant by default. Kent's mouth snapped shut. Hartley looked at Cole, at Grace. Something almost like approval in his eyes. You two caused quite a commotion. Had to, Cole said. Only way to be heard. Well, you're heard. Hartley turned away. Perkins, separate cells. No visitors. We do this proper. As they led Grace away, she looked back at Cole, mouthed 2 words. Thank you. Cole nodded. Tomorrow would bring judgment, might bring victory, might bring loss. But tonight the whole territory knew Grace Porter's name, knew she'd chosen freedom, chosen love. Kent's power had cracks in it now, and morning would show whether those cracks could break him completely. The cell was cold stone and iron bars, and the smell of old fear. Grace sat on the cot and tried not to think about what came next. Tried not to picture Kent's face when the judge ruled in his favor. Tried not to imagine being dragged back to that ranch, that house, that life that wasn't a life at all. She'd been in worse places. The orphanage had been colder, lonelier. At least here she had hope. Cole loved her. He'd said it in front of the whole town, staked everything on those 3 words. Grace wrapped her arms around herself and let herself feel it. The warmth, the terror, the impossible possibility that maybe, just maybe, she could have this. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Grace tensed. Too soon for breakfast. Too late for Martha Doyle appeared at the bars. Perkins behind her looking uncomfortable. 5 minutes, he muttered. That's all Kent paid for. Kent sent you? Grace stood. Hell no, I paid my own way. Martha waited until Perkins retreated, lowered her voice. We need to talk strategy, tomorrow's hearing. What's there to strategize? Kent has lawyers, witnesses, the law. And we have truth. Martha pulled papers from her bag. I've been digging deeper, found 3 more women, all signed contracts with Kent. All died or disappeared within 2 years. Grace's stomach turned. 3 more. Anna Holbrook. Died of consumption according to her death certificate. But I found a letter she sent her sister 2 weeks before. Says she was perfectly healthy. Says Kent had locked her in a room for disobedience. That's not proof. Then there's Margaret Chen, Chinese immigrant. Contract said she'd work as housekeeper. Reality was, she became his 3rd wife. Disappeared in '74. No body, no investigation. The sheriff was bought even then. But here's the thing. Martha's eyes gleamed. Margaret had a brother, Samuel Chen, works at the railroad office. He's been collecting evidence for 9 years, waiting for someone to listen. Hope flickered in Grace's chest. Will he testify? Already agreed, soon as he heard about you. Martha pulled out more papers. And I found something else. The debt that trapped you. The medical bills for your friend Catherine. Kitty. Her name was Kitty. Those bills were paid by an anonymous benefactor 2 weeks before you signed Kent's contract. Grace's world tilted. That's not possible. The doctor said. The doctor lied, or was lied to. Either way, you had no debt when you signed, which means Kent manufactured it, which means the contract was fraud from the beginning. Can you prove it? Bank records show the payment, from an account traced back to one of Kent's shell companies. Martha's smile was sharp. He paid your debt himself, then pretended it still existed, trapped you with money he'd already given. Grace sat down hard. Why would he do that? Because you said no the first time he asked. You turned him down flat when he proposed legitimate marriage. So he created a situation where you had no choice. The cell felt smaller suddenly. Colder. All of it. Every bit of her suffering. Manufactured. Orchestrated. Because she'd said no. Are you okay? Martha's voice gentled. I will be. Grace looked up. After we destroy him. Martha's smile widened. That's what I wanted to hear. After Martha left, Grace lay on the cot and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow would decide everything. Her freedom. Her future. Cole's ranch. His children's home. Too much riding on one judge's decision. Sleep came in pieces. Fractured dreams of snow and wedding dresses, and Kent's cold smile. She woke to Perkins unlocking her cell. Time for court. Grace stood, smoothed her borrowed dress. Martha had brought it last night. Simple, respectable. The kind of dress honest women wore. Grace hoped it was armor enough. The courthouse was packed, every seat filled, people standing along the walls. Grace recognized faces from town. Mrs. Talbot from the general store, Reverend Miller, ranch hands and shopkeepers and farmers who'd come to see justice or scandal or whatever this turned out to be. Cole sat in the front row, stood when he saw her. Their eyes met across the room. He nodded once, steady, sure. Grace tried to draw strength from it. Kent sat on the opposite side. 3 lawyers arrayed around him like a wall. He looked relaxed, confident. Man who'd already won and was just waiting for the world to catch up. Judge Hartley entered. Everyone rose. Sit. Hartley's voice brooked no argument. He settled behind his bench, studied the packed room. We're here to determine the validity of 2 contracts. Marriage contract between Warren Kent and Grace Porter. An alleged second marriage attempt between Grace Porter and Cole Dawson. He looked at Kent. Mr. Kent, present your case. Kent's lead lawyer stood. Tall man, silver-haired, voice smooth as river stones. Your Honor, the facts are simple. Miss Porter entered into a legal contract with my client. Marriage in exchange for debt forgiveness. She signed willingly. Witnesses confirmed her consent. The contract was notarized and filed with the territorial clerk. He produced documents, passed them to the judge. 3 days after the wedding ceremony, Miss Porter stole my client's horse and fled, abandoning her legal obligations. Mr. Dawson harbored her knowing she was bound to another man. Yesterday they attempted an illegal second marriage. The lawyer's voice hardened. This is fraud, theft, and bigamy. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Hartley raised his hand. Silence fell. Miss Porter, you have representation. Martha stood. She does, Your Honor. I'm acting as her advocate. Kent's lawyer smirked. Your Honor, Mrs. Doyle has no legal training. She's a citizen with evidence to present. I'll allow it. Hartley looked at Martha. Proceed. Martha stepped forward, calm, prepared. Your Honor, this contract is invalid for 3 reasons. First, the witness signature is forged. Reverend Samuel Hutchins died 3 months before signing this document. Second, Miss Porter signed under false pretenses. The debt she believed she owed had already been paid by Mr. Kent himself through a shell company. He manufactured her desperation. Kent shot to his feet. That's a lie. Sit down, Mr. Kent. Hartley's voice cracked like a whip. You'll have your turn. Kent sat, but his mask was slipping. Anger leaked through the cracks. Martha continued. Third, the contract violates territorial marriage law. It grants Mr. Kent complete ownership of Miss Porter's person and property. That's not marriage. That's slavery with a certificate. She handed papers to the judge. Bank records, death certificates, Samuel Chen's testimony written and notarized. Furthermore, Your Honor, Mr. Kent has a pattern. 6 women in 12 years. All signed similar contracts. 3 are dead. 2 disappeared. Only 1 escaped, and she's sitting in this courtroom. The crowd erupted. Shocked voices. Kent's face went purple. Hartley banged his gavel. Order, I will have order. Silence crashed down. Hartley read through Martha's evidence. His face stayed neutral, but his jaw tightened with each page. Finally, he looked up. Mr. Kent, you want to respond to these allegations? Kent's lawyer tried to speak. Kent waved him off. Stood. Your Honor, I'm a businessman. I've provided opportunities for desperate women, given them security, respectability. If some of them proved ungrateful, if tragedy befell them, that's not my fault. Tragedy. Martha's voice cut across the room. Anna Holbrook locked in her room. Margaret Chen disappeared without trace. Rebecca Winters drowned with strangulation marks on her neck. That's not tragedy. That's murder. You can't prove. I can prove you paid Grace's debt yourself, then pretended it still existed. I can prove you forged a pastor's signature. I can prove you've done this before. Martha's voice rose. And I can prove you left her to die in that blizzard. She stole my horse, I searched for her. You filed a missing property report, not a missing person report. You reported the horse stolen and her as collateral damage. Martha turned to the judge. Your Honor, there's a witness, ranch hand who worked for Kent. He's prepared to testify. Kent ordered men to escort Miss Porter out of town. Drop her in the snow. Let nature take its course. The courtroom exploded. Hartley's gavel cracked like thunder. I said order. Kent was on his feet. Lies, all lies. Some disgruntled employee. His name is Marcus Webb. He's waiting outside, ready to testify under oath. I'll destroy him. Kent stopped. Realized what he'd just said. Hartley's eyes went cold. You'll destroy him. For testifying. I didn't mean. Sit down. Kent sat, but his control was gone now, shattered. He looked like what he was, a predator cornered. Hartley turned to Grace. Miss Porter, stand. Grace stood, legs shaking, but she stood. Did you sign this contract willingly? I thought I had no choice, Your Honor. I thought I owed a debt I couldn't pay. Mr. Kent said marriage was the only way. Did he explain the contract terms? No, sir. He said it was standard. I couldn't read the legal language. I trusted. Her voice broke. I trusted him. Did you love him? The question hung in the air. Grace met Kent's eyes. No, I feared him. And yet you agreed to marry him. Desperate people make desperate choices. Grace's voice steadied. But I'd rather die free than live as property. That's why I ran. And Mr. Dawson? Grace looked at Cole. He was watching her with everything written on his face. Love. Fear. Hope. He saved my life. And then, she swallowed. Then he gave me a reason to want to be alive. Do you love him? Yes. Enough to marry him, knowing it might cost him everything. No. Grace's voice cracked. I told him not to, begged him. But he insisted. He's risking his land, his children's home, his freedom for me, because he believes I deserve to choose my own life. The courtroom was silent, waiting. Hartley looked at Cole. Mr. Dawson, anything to add? Cole stood. Just this, Your Honor. Grace Porter is the bravest person I've ever met. She chose death over slavery, chose truth over safety, and she brought my family back to life. If loving her is a crime, then I'm guilty. But I'm not sorry." He sat down. Hartley studied them, then Kent, then the evidence spread before him. "I need to deliberate. Court will recess for 1 hour." Everyone stood as the judge left. The crowd erupted into conversation. Kent stormed out, lawyers trailing him. Grace felt her knees give out. Martha caught her. "You did good," Martha whispered. "Real good." Cole pushed through the crowd, reached for Grace. Their hands met. "Whatever happens," he started. Don't say it." "I need you to know." "I know." Grace squeezed his hand. "I know." Perkins separated them. "Back to cells till the judge decides." Cole resisted. "Just 1 more minute." "Now Dawson." They led Grace away. She looked back. Cole was watching. Always watching. The cell felt colder this time. More final. Grace sat and waited and prayed to a God she wasn't sure listened to women like her. Please let this work. Not for me, for Cole, for those children. They've lost enough." Time crawled. Finally footsteps, Perkins unlocking the door. "Judge is ready." Grace walked back into the courtroom on numb legs. The crowd had swelled. Word had spread. Everyone wanted to see how this ended. Hartley entered. Everyone rose. He sat. They sat. The judge looked at the papers before him, then at Grace, then at Kent. "I've reviewed the evidence, heard testimony, considered the law." His voice filled the room. "The contract between Warren Kent and Grace Porter is invalid." Grace's breath stopped. "The witness signature is forged. The debt was fraudulent. And the terms violate territorial marriage law and basic human dignity." Hartley's voice went hard. "Mr. Kent, you've exploited desperate women, trapped them legally, and when they tried to escape, you eliminated them." "Your Honor." "I'm not finished." Hartley leaned forward. "You thought your money made you untouchable, that the law would bend to your will. You were wrong." He looked at Perkins. "Sheriff, you will investigate every woman who signed a contract with Mr. Kent, every death, every disappearance, and you will do it thoroughly, or I'll remove you from office myself." Perkins nodded, pale. Hartley turned to Grace. "Miss Porter, you're free. The contract is void. You owe Mr. Kent nothing, not loyalty, not obedience, not your life." Grace couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Free. The word didn't feel real. As for the attempted marriage between Miss Porter and Mr. Dawson, Hartley's face softened. Barely. No legal ceremony occurred, no license was issued, therefore no bigamy charge stands. However, Grace's hope stuttered. Should Miss Porter choose to marry Mr. Dawson in the future, she's free to do so. The court recognizes no prior binding claim. The courtroom erupted. Cheers. Gasps. Kent shouting over it all. "This is corruption, I'll appeal." "Appeal all you want." Hartley stood. Court dismissed. His gavel fell like the hand of God. Perkins unlocked Grace's handcuffs. She stood there, wrists bare, hardly believing it. Cole was there suddenly, arms around her, lifting her, spinning her. "You're free. Grace, you're free." She was crying, laughing, both at once. Martha appeared, tears streaming down her face. "We did it. God, we actually did it." Henry was laughing. Doc Morrison wiping his eyes. Pastor Williams grinning like Christmas morning. The crowd pressed in, strangers congratulating her. Mrs. Talbot from the general store taking her hand. "I'm sorry," the older woman said. "I judged you. Called you fallen. I was wrong." "Thank you." Grace could barely speak. "Thank you for saying so." Reverend Miller was there too, face red with shame. "I should have spoken up sooner, should have defended you. I'm sorry." "You're saying it now. That matters." But through it all, Grace kept looking for Kent, found him by the door. His lawyers were abandoning him, literally walking away, his power crumbling in real time. He saw her watching. Their eyes met. For a moment his mask fell completely. She saw rage, hatred, the promise of revenge. Then he turned and walked out. Grace shivered despite the warmth of Cole's arms. "He's not done," she whispered. "Neither are we." Cole's voice was fierce. "Let him try. We beat him once. We'll beat him again." Grace wanted to believe it, tried to believe it. But she'd seen Kent's face, seen the promise there. This wasn't over. They gathered at the Doyle Ranch that night. Celebration mixed with wariness. Victory tasted sweet, but felt fragile. Tommy and Lillian threw themselves at Grace the moment she walked in. She caught them both. Held on tight. "I knew Papa would save you," Lillian said. "We all saved each other," Grace replied. Tommy looked up at her, serious. "Are you gonna leave now?" "Do you want me to?" "No. Fast. Fierce. Stay. Please." "Okay." Grace's throat tightened. "I'll stay." Martha made dinner. Henry opened whiskey. They toasted Grace's freedom. Cole's courage. The truth prevailing. But underneath, tension hummed. "Kent's not going to just accept this," Henry said what everyone was thinking. "The judge ordered an investigation," Martha said. "He'll be too busy defending himself. Or he'll lash out." Doc Morrison's voice was grim. "Wounded animals are the most dangerous." "We'll be ready." Cole's hand found Grace's under the table. "Whatever comes." Later, after the children went to bed, Grace and Cole stood on the porch, stars overhead, crickets singing, peace that felt temporary. "Thank you." Grace's voice was soft. "For everything. For believing me. Fighting for me." "I love you." Cole turned to face her. "That's not something I say easy. Haven't said it to anyone since Sarah. But it's true. I love you and I want—" He stopped, started again. "I want to do this right. Court said we're free to marry, so I'm asking proper this time." He took her hands. "Grace Porter, will you marry me? Not because of contracts or desperation or anyone forcing you, just because you want to." Grace looked at this man who'd pulled her from death, who'd risked everything, who'd taught her what love could look like when it was real. "Yes." Her voice was sure. "Yes, I choose you." He kissed her then, gentle, reverent, like she was precious. When they pulled apart, Grace rested her forehead against his. "But not yet," she whispered. "Not until this is really over. I won't bind you to me while Kent's still a threat." "Grace. Please. When we marry, I want it to be just joy, not fear, not waiting for him to destroy us. Let me have that." Cole wanted to argue. She could feel it. But he nodded. "Okay, we wait. But not long. I've waited 4 years to feel alive again. I'm not waiting forever." Grace smiled. "Just until it's safe." They stood together in the dark, holding each other, neither one saying what they both knew. With men like Warren Kent, it might never be safe. But sometimes you fought anyway. 2 days later, word came from town. Kent had left, sold his property, took his money, and disappeared north into the territories. Grace heard the news from Martha and felt relief crash over her. It was done, really done. He was gone. "Just like that?" she asked. "Just like that?" Martha smiled. "Investigations scared him off. He knew what we'd find if we kept digging, so he ran." "Good riddance," Henry said. That night, Grace let herself believe it. Let herself think about the future. Marriage, family, peace. She was in the kitchen making bread when Lillian called from outside. "Grace, come see." Grace wiped flour from her hands, walked out. Lillian was pointing at the garden, the one Grace had been planting. Seeds she'd put in the ground 2 weeks ago, hoping she'd be alive to see them grow. Tiny green shoots pushed through the soil. Grace knelt, touched the small leaves. Proof of life. proof of future. They're growing, Lillian breathed. Your plants are growing. They are. Grace felt tears sting her eyes. Happy tears this time. They really are. Cole appeared behind them, saw what they were looking at, saw Grace's face. Guess that means you're staying, he said. Guess it does. He pulled her to her feet, kissed her in front of his daughter and God and anyone who cared to look. Grace kissed him back, tasting hope, tasting home. Marry me, Cole said against her lips. Tonight. Tomorrow. I don't care. Just marry me. Yes. Grace laughed. Yes, tomorrow. Let's get married tomorrow. Lillian squealed, ran to tell Tommy. Cole and Grace stood in the garden surrounded by new growth and let themselves believe the worst was over. They were wrong. But for tonight, for this moment, they were happy. And sometimes that's all you can ask for. The sun set, gold and orange painting the Montana sky like a promise. Grace watched it and thought about frozen blizzards and wedding dresses and men who thought they could own people. She'd survived all of it, and tomorrow she'd marry the man who'd shown her what freedom really meant. Not just absence of chains, but presence of choice. The ability to say yes because you wanted to, not because you had no other option. What are you thinking? Cole asked. That I'm grateful, Grace said. For the blizzard, for you finding me, for all of it. Even the bad parts. Especially the bad parts. They brought me here. Cole pulled her close. They stood together watching nightfall, neither one seeing the rider in the distance. Watching. Waiting. One of Kent's men who'd been ordered to stay behind. To watch. To wait. And when the time was right to make sure Warren Kent got his revenge. Morning came soft and golden, the kind of morning that made promises feel possible. Grace woke in the loft where she'd been sleeping since coming to stay proper, and for the first time in months, she felt light. Today, she'd marry Cole. Today, everything would be official and real and hers by choice. She dressed in the blue calico Martha had brought yesterday. Simple, clean. The kind of dress a woman wore to start a new life. Lillian was already awake, braiding wildflowers into a crown. For your hair, the girl said, eyes shining. Every bride needs flowers. Grace's throat tightened. Thank you, sweetheart. Are you scared? No. Grace realized it was true. Not anymore. Downstairs, Tommy was helping Cole with his tie. The boy's face was serious, concentrated. You gotta look good, Papa. This is important. I know, son. Cole looked up when Grace descended the ladder. His hands stilled on the tie. Just stared. You're beautiful, he said. Grace felt heat rise in her cheeks. It's just a dress. It's not the dress. Tommy made a face. You two are going to be all mushy now, aren't you? Probably, Cole said, not taking his eyes off Grace. They ate breakfast together. Normal, easy, like any family on any morning. Except today would change everything. Pastor Williams was coming at noon. Martha and Henry as witnesses. Simple ceremony, nothing fancy. Grace didn't need fancy. She just needed real. At 11, Cole went to check on the horses. Tommy followed him out. Grace was cleaning dishes when Lillian tugged her sleeve. Grace, can I ask you something? Anything. Will you be my real mama now? Not just Miss Grace. Grace set down the dish, knelt to the girl's level. I'll be whatever you want me to be. If you want to call me Grace, that's fine. If you want to call me something else. Mama. Lillian's voice was small, hopeful. I want to call you Mama, if that's okay. Grace pulled her close. That's more than okay. She felt the weight of it. The honor. Sarah had been these children's mother. Grace wasn't replacing her. But she could love them just as fiercely. Love them like they were her own. Because they were her own now. A horse approached fast. Too fast. Grace stood, moved to the window. Henry Doyle was riding hard, face grim. Something was wrong. Cole met him in the yard. Grace couldn't hear the words, but she saw Cole's body go rigid. Saw Tommy step closer to his father. Then Cole was striding toward the cabin, Henry following. "Grace, get the children inside, now." "What's happened?" "Kent's dead." The world tilted. "What?" "Someone shot him, last night, in his hotel room before he left town." Cole's voice was flat, controlled. "Sheriff's coming. They're arresting everyone who had motive." "No." Grace's voice came out strangled. "No, you were here, all night. We all were. I know that, you know that. But Kent's lawyers are already screaming murder, saying I hired someone, saying you orchestrated it for revenge." "That's insane." "Is it?" Henry's voice was gentle, sad. "Grace, you're a woman who ran from him. Cole's the man who protected you. We all testified against him. Publicly destroyed his reputation. If anyone had motive, it's us." "But we didn't." Grace looked at Cole. "Tell me you didn't." "I didn't." His eyes met hers. Clear, honest. "I wanted to. God knows I wanted to. But I didn't." Horses. Multiple riders. Sheriff Perkins. 3 deputies. The man who'd prosecuted Kent now looking for someone to prosecute for his murder. "Cole Dawson," Perkins called. "Need to ask you some questions." Cole walked out, hands visible, non-threatening. "I'm here, Bill." "Where were you last night between midnight and 3 a.m.? "Here, asleep, with my children and Miss Porter under my roof." "Anyone can verify that besides people who'd lie for you." Grace stepped out. "I can verify it. I was here. We all were." Perkins looked uncomfortable. "Miss Porter, you got as much reason to want him dead as anyone." "I wanted him gone, not dead. There's a difference." "Is there?" The prosecutor pushed forward. Tall man, narrow face, voice like acid. "You testified against him, humiliated him publicly, and now he's dead, shot through the heart, professional job." "I don't know how to shoot," Grace said, "but Mr. Dawson does." "Cole was here all night." "So you say, but you're about to marry him. You'd say anything." "It's the truth. Or it's convenient." The prosecutor turned to Perkins. "Arrest them both. Conspiracy to commit murder." "Now hold on," Henry started. "You too, Doyle. You were in that courtroom. Testified against Kent. Maybe you 3 planned it together." "This is ridiculous." Martha's voice cut through. She'd ridden up during the confrontation. Warren Kent had enemies across 3 territories. Anyone could have killed him. But these 3 had the most to gain. The prosecutor gestured to his deputies. "Take them in." "No!" Lillian ran forward, grabbed her father's leg. "Papa didn't do anything. Don't take him." Tommy was there too, face pale, but determined. "He was here. We'd know if he left." "Children lie for their parents," the prosecutor said coldly. Cole knelt, hugged both children tight. "It's okay. This is a misunderstanding. We'll clear it up." "Papa!" Lillian was crying. "Tommy, you're the man of the house now. Take care of your sister. Martha will help." Cole looked at Martha. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Take care of them," Cole said to Grace. "No matter what happens, promise me." "Don't." Grace's voice broke. "Don't say goodbye. This isn't goodbye. Promise me." "I promise." They put Cole in irons. Henry too. Grace they left free, but made clear she'd be arrested the moment she tried to leave town. "Wedding's off, I'm guessing," Perkins said, almost sympathetic. Grace watched them take Cole away, watched Tommy hold his sobbing sister, watched everything she'd just won slip through her fingers like water. Martha took the children inside. Grace stood in the yard numb. "This doesn't make sense," she said to no one. Kent was leaving. It was over. Unless it wasn't. Martha's voice came from behind her. Unless someone wanted to make sure he stayed gone, permanently. But who? That's what we need to figure out, before they hang Cole for something he didn't do. The trial was set for 3 days later. Fast. Too fast. The prosecutor wanted this done before people could organize a defense. Grace spent those days in a blur, caring for the children, gathering evidence, trying to find anyone who'd seen anything. Samuel Chen came forward again, the Chinese railroad worker who'd testified about his sister Margaret. "I saw something," he told Grace and Martha. "Night Kent died. I was working late at the rail office. Saw a man enter the hotel. Tall, heavy build, not Cole Dawson." "Would you testify to that?" "They won't let me." Samuel's voice was bitter. "Chinese can't testify against white men in court. Territorial law." "Then we find another way," Martha said. They found 12 people who'd seen Cole's horse in his barn that night. Found Doc Morrison, who'd been called out to a berth and passed Cole's cabin at midnight, saw lights on Cole, silhouetted in the window. But the prosecutor had witnesses too. Kent's lawyers, who swore Cole had threatened Kent publicly. Ranch hands who claimed Cole had asked about hiring gunmen. All lies. But convincing lies. The courtroom was packed again. Different energy this time. Not hope. Fear. Grace sat in the front row. Tommy and Lillian on either side of her, holding her hands like lifelines. Cole was brought in wearing chains. He'd lost weight in 3 days. Face hollowed with worry. But when he saw Grace and the children, he smiled. Tried to anyway. Judge Hartley presided. Same judge who'd freed Grace, now deciding if Cole would hang. "This is a murder trial," Hartley said. "The territory will prove Cole Dawson conspired to kill Warren Kent. Defense will prove his innocence. We'll proceed according to law." The prosecutor stood, presented his case piece by piece. Motive. Means. Opportunity. Cole Dawson hated Warren Kent, threatened him publicly, had every reason to want him dead. And the night Kent died, Dawson has no alibi except people who'd lie for him. "That's not true," Lillian shouted. "Papa was home." Hartley's gavel fell. "The child will be silent or removed." Grace pulled Lillian close, whispered, "It's okay, let them talk. Truth will come out." She hoped. Martha stood for the defense, presented Doc Morrison's testimony, the timeline that made it impossible for Cole to have been in town. Dr. Morrison saw Cole Dawson at his cabin at midnight. Kent died between 1 and 2 a.m. It's a 4-hour ride to town. The math doesn't work. "Unless he had a Confederate," the prosecutor countered. "Henry Doyle, or Miss Porter herself. I was with the children all night." "So you claim." The prosecutor turned to the jury. Warren Kent was murdered because he stood between these people and what they wanted. Freedom for Miss Porter. Revenge for Mr. Dawson. They conspired together, and they should hang together. The courtroom erupted. Hartley's gavel cracked. "Order. We will have order." But Grace could feel it. The mood shifting. The jury's doubt. They needed something more, something concrete. Martha called Samuel Chen to the stand. The prosecutor objected immediately. "Chinese witnesses are inadmissible." "He's not testifying against a white man," Martha interrupted. "He's testifying about what he saw, a man entering the hotel. Unknown identity. That's observation, not accusation." Hartley considered. "I'll allow it." Samuel took the stand, described what he'd seen. The tall man with heavy build, the expensive clothes, the way he'd looked around before entering. "Did you see his face?" Martha asked. "No, but I saw his hands. He wore rings, 3 gold rings on his right hand. And Cole Dawson wears no jewelry. Everyone knows this." The prosecutor tried to discredit him, suggested he was lying to protect Grace, but Samuel held firm. "I tell truth," he said simply. My sister died because of Kent. But I want justice, not revenge. Justice means the right person pays. Grace felt hope flicker. Then the prosecutor called his final witness. I call Marcus Webb to the stand. Grace's blood went cold. Webb. The ranch hand who'd testified for them against Kent. The one who'd said Kent ordered Grace abandoned in the snow. What was he doing testifying for the prosecution? Webb took the stand. Wouldn't meet Grace's eyes. Mr. Webb, the prosecutor said, you worked for Warren Kent. You testified against him. Why? Because Miss Porter asked me to. Said she'd pay me. That's a lie. Grace stood. I never. Sit down, Miss Porter. Hartley's voice was ice. Grace sat, heart hammering. What did Miss Porter ask you to do? Testify against Kent. Make him look bad. She said if I helped destroy him in court, Cole Dawson would pay me $500. No. Grace's voice came out strangled. No, he's lying. And did you receive this money? Webb produced a banknote. $500, signed by Cole Dawson. The courtroom exploded. Grace couldn't breathe, couldn't think. This wasn't real. Couldn't be real. Cole was shouting. I never signed that. I've never seen that man outside the courtroom. But the damage was done. Grace could see it in the jury's faces, doubt hardening into certainty. Martha called for recess. Hartley granted it. They huddled in the side room. Cole, Grace, Martha, Henry. That signature's forged, Cole said. Has to be. Can we prove it? Henry asked. Not in time. Martha's voice was grim. Trial ends tomorrow. Jury will deliberate. This evidence fake or not, it's damning. So what do we do? Grace stood, paced, thought. Someone framed them. Someone wanted Cole to hang for Kent's murder. But who benefited Kent's lawyers? She said suddenly. They lost everything when Kent fell. Their biggest client, their income. What if one of them killed him? Why? Henry asked. Revenge. Or... Grace's mind raced. Or Kent owed them money. If he left town, they'd never collect. But if he died, his estate goes to probate. They could claim fees. Take what they're owed before the territory seizes everything. Martha's eyes widened. That's brilliant. But can we prove it? I don't know, but it's better than nothing. They worked through the night. Martha digging through financial records. Henry riding to town to question hotel staff. Grace holding the children while they slept, memorizing their faces, in case this was the last night she had with Cole. Cole sat with them. Chains removed during recess. He held Grace's hand. If this goes bad, it won't. If it does, you take the children, raise them, tell them I loved them. You'll tell them yourself. Grace, no. She turned to face him. We don't give up. Not when we're this close. We fought too hard to quit now. Cole pulled her close, kissed her forehead. I love you. Whatever happens, I love you. I love you too. Morning came gray and cold. Court reconvened. The jury looked tired, ready to be done. Martha stood. Your Honor, the defense calls Jonathan Pierce. Kent's lead lawyer, the silver-haired man who'd defended him in the first trial. Pierce looked surprised, stood reluctantly. I'm not a witness. You are now. Martha's voice was steel. Take the stand. He did, radiating hostility. Mr. Pierce, Warren Kent owed you money, didn't he? Legal fees are confidential. $20,000 for services rendered over 5 years, documented in these records. Martha slapped papers on the rail. He was leaving town. You'd never collect. That's speculation. Is it? You were at the hotel the night he died. Samuel Chen saw a tall, heavy-built man with gold rings enter the building. You wear 3 gold rings on your right hand. You're 6 feet tall. You weigh approximately 200 pounds. Pierce's face went red. I was visiting a client you killed, so you could claim his estate. Collect your fees before the territory seized everything. This is outrageous. I'm an officer of the court. You're a murderer. Martha turned to the judge. Your Honor, I request this man be held for questioning. Based on what speculation and coincidence? The prosecutor was on his feet. This is a desperate attempt. He wore gloves. Samuel Chen's voice called from the gallery. The man I saw wore gloves even though it was warm, like he didn't want fingerprints. Pierce stood. I don't have to listen to this. Sit down, Hartley commanded. I'm leaving. Bailiff, detain Mr. Pierce. Pierce ran. Actually ran for the door. The bailiff caught him. They struggled. Pierce's coat opened. A gun fell out. Small. The kind you'd use for close work. The same caliber that killed Warren Kent. The courtroom erupted. Pierce was screaming. He deserved it. Owed me money and was going to run. I worked for him for years. He owed me. You killed him, Martha said. And I'd do it again. But I'm not hanging while Dawson walks free. He hated Kent too. He wanted him dead. But he didn't kill him. You did. Pierce lunged at Martha. Henry caught him. Deputies swarmed. They dragged Pierce away, still screaming. Hartley banged his gavel, over and over until silence fell. This trial is over. The real killer has confessed. Cole Dawson, you're free to go. Grace couldn't move, couldn't process it. Free. He was free. Then Cole was there, arms around her, lifting her, spinning her. It's over, he whispered. It's really over. Tommy and Lillian crashed into them, all four of them holding each other, crying, laughing. Martha was wiping her eyes, Henry grinning like a fool. The crowd pressed in. Apologies. Congratulations. Reverend Miller was there. I believe you two have a wedding to attend, he said. If you're still interested. Cole looked at Grace. What do you say, want to marry me right now? Here in the courthouse. Why not everyone's already gathered? We've got witnesses, and I'm done waiting. Grace laughed, full and free and real. Yes, let's do it. They stood before Judge Hartley, right there in the courtroom. Martha and Henry as witnesses, the children on either side, half the town watching. Reverend Miller spoke the words, the same words he'd tried to say in the square before they were arrested. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here. Grace heard it through tears, felt Cole's hands holding hers. Steady, sure, real. Do you, Cole Dawson, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. And do you, Grace Porter, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? Grace looked at Cole, at this man who'd saved her life, who'd fought for her, who'd risked everything because he believed she deserved to choose. I do. Then by the power vested in me by the Montana Territory and Almighty God, I pronounce you husband and wife. William smiled. You may kiss your bride. Cole kissed her, gentle, sweet, promise of everything to come. The courtroom cheered. Lillian tugged Grace's dress. You're really our mama now. Really and truly. Forever, forever. They walked out of the courthouse into afternoon sun. Free, married, together. Kent was dead. Pierce would hang for his murder. The truth had won. Grace looked at her new family, her husband, her children, her friends who'd fought beside her. This was what freedom looked like. Not just absence of chains, but presence of love. The ride home felt different. Same road, same Montana sky stretching endless overhead. But everything had changed. Grace sat beside Cole on the wagon seat, his arm around her shoulders, and for the first time since she could remember, she wasn't looking over her shoulder, wasn't waiting for the other boot to drop. Tommy and Lillian rode in the back, chattering about the wedding, about how Papa had kissed Grace right there in front of everyone, about how they had a real mama now. Does this mean we're a family? Lillian asked. A real one. We've always been a family, Cole called back. Just made it official today. Grace leaned into him, felt the solid warmth of his body, the steady rhythm of his breathing. Real, present, hers. You okay? Cole asked quietly. Better than okay. Grace looked up at him. I keep thinking I'll wake up, that this is too good to be real. It's real. He kissed her forehead. And it's ours. No one can take it away now. The cabin came into view as the sun touched the horizon. Home. Grace had lived here for months, but it hadn't truly been home until now. Now it was hers by choice, by love, by law. Martha and Henry's wagon was already there. They'd ridden ahead to prepare. Surprise! Martha called as they pulled up. The cabin door was open, lamplight spilled out, the smell of food cooking. You didn't have to, Grace started. Hush, every bride deserves a wedding supper, even if the ceremony was in a courthouse with half the town gawking. They gathered around the table. The one Cole had built with his own hands. Grace helped Martha serve. Stew and fresh bread and dried apple pie. Simple food. Perfect. Doc Morrison arrived with Pastor Williams. They'd brought whiskey for the men and a small bag of peppermints for the children. Couldn't let the day pass without celebrating proper, Doc said. They ate and laughed and told stories about the trial, about Pierce's confession, about the look on the prosecutor's face when everything fell apart. Never seen a man backpedal so fast, Henry said. Went from demanding Cole hang to apologizing for the inconvenience. Some inconvenience, Cole muttered. Grace squeezed his hand under the table. He laced his fingers through hers, held on. After dinner, Martha pulled Grace aside while the men smoked pipes on the porch and the children played. I have something for you. Martha handed her a bundle wrapped in cloth. Open it. Grace unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a dress. Beautiful. Blue silk with lace at the collar and cuffs. The kind of dress Grace had sewn for rich women, but never dreamed of wearing herself. Martha, I can't. You can. It was Sarah's, her wedding dress. She'd want you to have it. Grace's throat closed. Are you sure the children? The children want you to be happy. Cole wants you to be happy. And Sarah? Martha's voice softened. Sarah would have liked you, would have been grateful you love her babies like your own. Grace hugged her. Couldn't speak, just held on while Martha patted her back. You're good people, Grace Dawson. Don't ever doubt that. Grace Dawson. Her new name. It felt strange and right at once. The guests left as darkness fell. Promises to visit soon. Congratulations once more. Then it was just the four of them. Tommy and Lillian were exhausted, fighting sleep, but determined to stay up for this momentous day. Bed, Cole said gently. Both of you. But Papa. Bed, your mama and I aren't going anywhere. Your mama. The words landed soft and sure. Grace helped Lillian into her nightgown, braided her hair, tucked her into the small bed in the loft. Grace, I mean Mama. Lillian's voice was sleepy. Yes, sweetheart. I'm glad you didn't die in the snow. Grace's eyes stung. Me too. And I'm glad Papa found you. And I'm glad you stayed. So am I. She kissed Lillian's forehead. The girl was asleep before Grace reached the ladder. Tommy was already in bed but awake, watching. You tired? Grace asked. Some. He paused. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you love Papa? Really love him, not just because he saved you? Grace sat on the edge of his bed. I love him because he's a good man. Because he loves you and your sister more than anything. Because he taught me what it means to choose freely. She met Tommy's eyes. And yes, I love him because he saved me. But not the way you think. He didn't just pull me from the snow, he showed me I was worth saving. Tommy nodded slowly, processing. What about Mama? The first one. Sarah. Grace said the name carefully. I'll never replace her, Tommy. She was your mother. She loved you and your sister and your papa. That doesn't change just because I'm here now. But you're here now. I am. If you'll have me. Tommy was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached out. Awkward, unsure. Grace took his hand. I'm glad you stayed too, he said. Quiet, honest. Grace squeezed his hand. Get some sleep. She climbed back down the ladder. Cole was banking the fire, preparing the cabin for night. They moved around each other in comfortable silence. Grace tidied the kitchen. Cole checked the doors, normal domestic tasks. Except tonight was their wedding night. Their first night as husband and wife. Grace felt nervous suddenly. Unsure. Cole turned, saw her face. Hey. He crossed to her, took her hands. You okay? Just thinking. About how different this is, from what Kent wanted, what he would have done. She looked up at him. You've never pushed, never demanded, you've just waited. Because you're not property. You're my wife, my partner. This only works if we both choose it. Grace felt something unlock in her chest, fear she'd been carrying without realizing. I choose it, she said. I choose you. Cole kissed her then, slow, deep, years of loneliness and grief melting between them. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. Come to bed, Cole said. Just to sleep if that's all you want. Just to hold you. That's enough. Grace thought about the frozen bride in the snow. About the woman who'd chosen death over ownership. About everything she'd survived to get here. It's not all I want, she said. Cole's eyes darkened. You sure? I'm sure. He led her to the bed. Their bed now. And Grace went willingly, joyfully, free. Morning came soft through the windows. Grace woke wrapped in Cole's arms, his breath warm against her neck. She lay still, not wanting to break the moment. This was peace. This was home. Cole stirred, kissed her shoulder. Morning, Mrs. Dawson. Grace smiled. Morning, Mr. Dawson. They lay together in the quiet. No rush, no fear. Just the two of them, and the promise of the day ahead. Eventually, small footsteps sounded overhead. Lillian was awake. Should we get up? Grace whispered. Probably. But neither of them moved. Lillian's face appeared at the edge of the loft. Are you two gonna sleep all day? Cole laughed. What time is it? Tommy says it's past 7. That's late. We're married now. We're allowed to be late. Does that mean I can sleep late too? Nice try, sweetheart. Come on down. Let's make breakfast. They rose together. Grace in her nightgown, Cole in his undershirt. Casual. Comfortable. Like they'd been doing this for years instead of hours. Tommy came down rubbing his eyes. Saw them together and grinned. Quick. There and gone. But Grace saw it. Acceptance. Approval. The beginning of something good. They made breakfast together. All 4 of them. Pancakes and bacon and fresh eggs from the henhouse. Grace cooked while Cole told stories about his father's ranch, about learning to ride before he could walk, about Sarah teaching him to make decent biscuits instead of the rocks he'd been producing. She said if I couldn't make decent biscuits, I'd starve, Cole said. So she taught me. Was she a good cook? Lillian asked. The best. Made bread that tasted like heaven. Stew that could cure any sadness. Cole's voice softened. She'd have liked Grace. Would have been glad someone's feeding you all properly now. Grace felt emotion rise in her throat. I hope I can live up to that. You already do. After breakfast, Cole taught Grace to milk the cow. She'd never done it before. City girl turned seamstress, turned rancher's wife. Gentle but firm. Cole instructed his hands over hers. She won't give if you're timid. The cow, Bessie they called her, tolerated Grace's fumbling. Milk streamed into the bucket. Not much, but enough. I did it. Grace felt ridiculously proud. You did. Cole kissed her cheek. Tomorrow you'll do more. They worked through the morning. Cole repairing fence, Tommy helping, Grace and Lillian in the garden tending the small green shoots that had started to push through the soil. These are carrots, Grace explained. And these will be beans. And over here we'll have tomatoes come summer. Can we have flowers too? Lillian asked. Absolutely. What kind do you want? The pretty ones. Grace laughed. Then pretty ones it is. They worked until noon, then ate cold chicken and bread under the cottonwood tree. The wind was warm, spring settling in proper, winter finally releasing its grip. I could get used to this, Grace said. Better get used to it. You're stuck with us now. Good. That afternoon, Martha rode over with news. Pierce confessed to everything, she said. Not just Kent's murder. Turns out he'd been embezzling from Kent for years. Kent found out, threatened to expose him. Pierce killed him to keep him quiet. And Webb? Grace asked. The ranch hand who testified against Cole. Pierce paid him $500 to lie about Cole offering money. Forged Cole's signature himself. Man was desperate. He'll hang, Cole said. Not a question. Most likely. Judge Hartley's pushing for fast trial. Wants this settled before summer. Martha shook her head. Kent was evil, but at least he was honest about it. Pierce pretended to be respectable while being worse. After Martha left, Grace stood at the window, staring out at the land that was hers now, legally, truly. What are you thinking? Cole came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. That I almost didn't make it here. Almost died in that snow. And now? She turned in his arms. Now I have everything I never knew I wanted. Me too. They stood together in the afternoon light. Two broken people who'd found each other in a blizzard and built something whole. The weeks passed in quiet contentment. Grace learned ranching, how to tend chickens, how to churn butter, how to mend harnesses and birth calves, and 100 other skills she'd never needed as a city seamstress. Cole taught her to ride properly. Not the desperate flight she'd made stealing Kent's horse, but real riding. Control and partnership with the animal. You're a natural, he said, after she'd spent an hour in the saddle without falling. Liar. But I appreciate it. They worked side by side, building their life together. Grace sewed new curtains for the cabin. Cole expanded the garden. Tommy learned to help with the heavy work. Lillian memorized poems and sang while she did chores. One evening Grace was darning socks when Lillian climbed into her lap. Mama, will you always be here? Always, I promise. Even when we're grown. Even when you're grown. Even when you have your own families. I'll be here. Lillian snuggled closer. Good. In June, they took the wagon to town for supplies. It was Grace's first time back since the trial. She felt nervous, unsure how people would react. Mrs. Talbot greeted them at the general store. Warm, genuine. Mrs. Dawson, good to see you. Mrs. Dawson. Grace still felt a thrill hearing it. Good to see you too, Mrs. Talbot. They shopped. Other women nodded greetings. Some apologized for doubting, for judging. Grace accepted with grace she didn't entirely feel, but it was enough. Reverend Miller stopped them on the street. I wanted to apologize again for not standing with you sooner, for letting fear keep me silent. You stood when it mattered, Grace said. That's what counts. Still, I should have been braver. Like you. Grace didn't feel brave. She felt lucky, blessed, grateful for second chances. They had dinner at the hotel, the same hotel where Kent had died. Different now, cleaner, new management. They were tearing down the old memories, building something better. On the ride home, Grace leaned against Cole's shoulder. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For giving me this life, this family, this chance. You gave me the same thing." Cole kissed the top of her head. "We saved each other." August brought news. Martha rode over with a newspaper. "You need to see this." Grace took it. The headline read, "Kent's Empire Crumbles Under Investigation." The article detailed everything: the forged contracts, the murdered women, the shell companies and fraud. All of it exposed. Kent's name was ruined. His properties seized. His legacy destroyed. "They found Emma Shaw," Martha said quietly. "First wife who disappeared. Buried on Kent's property, along with 2 other women no one had reported missing." Grace felt sick. "I could have been one of them." "But you weren't." Cole's hand found hers. "You fought. You survived. And you stopped him from hurting anyone else." Grace thought about the frozen bride in the snow. The woman who'd chosen death over captivity. She'd been so close to dying, so close to becoming another forgotten victim. But she'd lived. And in living, she'd exposed the monster, saved other women from his trap, given them a chance at freedom she'd nearly lost. "I want to help them," Grace said suddenly. "The other women, the ones who signed contracts like mine, who are trapped." "How?" Martha asked. "I don't know yet, but there has to be a way. To find them, free them, show them they have choices." Cole nodded. "Then we'll find a way." September brought the baby. Grace hadn't told anyone, had barely let herself believe it. But her body knew. The sickness in the mornings, the way her clothes fit different, the new life growing inside her. She told Cole first. One night when the children were asleep, took his hand and placed it on her still flat belly. "There's going to be 4 of us," she said. "Well, 5 counting this one." Cole stared at her, processing. Then joy broke across his face like sunrise. A baby. A baby. He kissed her, fierce and tender at once. "When? Spring? April maybe? We'll need to expand the cabin, build another room, get—" He was already planning, already preparing. Grace laughed. "We have time." "Not much. Montana winters are long. I need to—" "Cole." She cupped his face. "Breathe. We'll figure it out." Tommy and Lillian took the news with different reactions. Another sister would be okay, Lillian decided. Or a brother. I'm not picky. Tommy looked thoughtful. "Does this mean I'll have to share my room?" "Eventually. But not for a while." "Okay then. I guess it's okay." High praise from a 10-year-old boy. Cole started building immediately. An addition to the cabin. A proper bedroom for him and Grace. The children would keep the loft. The new baby would have a cradle by the fire. Henry came to help. Doc Morrison stopped by with advice. Pastor Williams blessed the foundation. The community that had doubted Grace now rallied around her, brought baby clothes, offered wisdom, welcomed her fully as one of their own. Grace stood watching Cole and Henry work, her hand resting on her growing belly. Tommy was handing up tools. Lillian was singing to herself while she weeded the garden. This was family, not the one she was born into, not the one she'd imagined as a girl in the orphanage, but the one she'd built, piece by piece, choice by choice. Martha appeared beside her. "You look happy." "I am. You deserve it, after everything." Grace thought about that. Deserving. She'd spent so long thinking she deserved nothing, that she was worth nothing. Kent had almost convinced her it was true, but Cole had shown her different. Not through words, through actions, through choosing her, fighting for her, loving her even when it cost him everything. "We all deserve it," Grace said. "We all deserve to choose our own lives." Amen to that. Winter came early that year, snow in November, but the cabin was warm. The new room finished just in time. Grace sat by the fire in the evening, knitting small clothes for the baby. Cole read to the children from a book of fairy tales. "And they lived happily ever after," he finished. "That's not realistic," Tommy said. "Nothing's that simple." "No," Cole agreed. "It's not. Happiness isn't something that just happens. It's something you build, day by day, choice by choice." He looked at Grace. She looked back. They knew. They'd built it together. Through blizzards and trials and fear. Through choosing each other when it would have been easier to quit. Christmas was simple. A small tree. Homemade presents. Grace made new dresses for Lily-Ann. Cole carved Tommy a knife. The children gave Grace a sampler they'd embroidered together. "Home is where the heart is," it read. Grace cried. Happy tears this time. On Christmas night, after the children slept, Cole and Grace sat together by the fire. "I have something for you," Cole said. He pulled out a small wooden box, opened it. Inside was a ring. Simple gold band. Nothing fancy, but beautiful. "I know we're already married, but I wanted you to have this. Something that's just yours, that no one can take away." Grace let him slip it on her finger. Perfect fit. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too. More than I thought I could love anyone after Sarah. You brought me back to life." We brought each other back. They sat together, planning the future, talking about the baby, about expanding the ranch, about teaching Lily-Ann to read better, about Tommy learning to handle more responsibility. Normal talk, boring talk, beautiful talk. April came soft and green. The baby arrived on a warm afternoon with Doc Morrison attending and Martha helping. A girl, tiny and perfect, dark hair like Grace. Cole's eyes. "What will you name her?" Lily-Ann asked, peering at her new sister. Grace looked at Cole. They'd discussed this. Agreed. "Catherine," Grace said. "After my friend. And Sarah for a middle name. Catherine Sarah Dawson." "Kitty for short," Cole added. "If that's okay." Lily-Ann grinned. "I like it. Welcome, Kitty." Tommy touched the baby's tiny hand. She gripped his finger. His whole face softened. "Hi, little sister. I'll protect you. I promise." Grace watched her children. All three of them now. Tommy and Lily-Ann, who'd accepted her. Baby Kitty, who'd never know anything but being loved. This was worth everything. Every moment of fear. Every risk. Every fight. Summer brought visitors. Samuel Chen came with his new wife. They'd married in the spring. She was pregnant too, due in the fall. "We're building a home," Samuel said. "Buying land, starting fresh." "I'm happy for you," Grace said. "I'm happy for you too. You started this. Your courage. It gave others courage too." 3 more women had come forward after Kent's death, revealed their own contracts, their own escapes. They were free now, building new lives. Grace held baby Kitty and thought about the woman who'd nearly frozen to death, who'd had no hope, no future. Look how far she'd come. One evening in August, Grace stood in the garden. The vegetables were thriving. Tomatoes hung red and heavy. Beans climbed their poles. Carrots pushed up through dark soil. Everything she'd planted was growing. Cole came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her and the baby. "What are you thinking about?" "About how it almost didn't happen. How I almost died. How Kent almost won. But he didn't." "No, he didn't." Grace turned to look at her husband. "You saved me. You saved yourself. You chose to fight, to live. I just helped. We saved each other then." "Yeah, we did." They stood together in the fading light, watching Tommy and Lily-Ann play, listening to Kitty coo, feeling the Montana breeze carry the scent of growing things. Grace thought about the frozen bride, the woman who'd had nothing, who'd been nobody, who'd chosen death because she couldn't see another way. That woman was gone. In her place stood Grace Dawson, wife, mother, survivor, free woman. She'd been pulled from the snow by a man who saw her worth, who fought for her freedom, who loved her enough to risk everything. And together they'd built something beautiful, something real, something that would last. The blizzard that nearly killed her had brought her home. The darkness had led to light. The ending had become a beginning. Grace looked at her family, her life, her hard-won happiness. This was what freedom looked like. Not just absence of chains, but presence of choice. The power to build your own life, love who you want, become who you're meant to be. She'd been property. Then she'd been rescued. Now she was free. And she would spend the rest of her life helping other women find that same freedom, that same choice, that same fierce joy of choosing your own path. The sun set gold over the Montana mountains, painting the sky like a promise. Grace Dawson smiled, held her baby close, leaned into her husband's embrace, watched her children laugh. She'd survived the blizzard, survived the darkness, survived everything meant to destroy her. And in surviving, she'd learned the truest thing she'd ever known. Sometimes the storms that nearly kill us are the ones that carry us home.